What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Finn of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And today I wanted to talk about one of the Kansas City Chiefs' top free agents this offseason and whether or not they should keep them or let them go. I already made a video about Trey Smith right before the end of the season. I'll probably do another one talking about him, but I haven't gotten to Nick Bolton yet, and he's obviously one of the Kansas City Chiefs' biggest free agents this year. He's due up for a contract extension. He's probably going to get paid regardless if it's from the Kansas City Chiefs or from someone else. I am also going to make a video a little bit later on going down the list of Chiefs free agents and just giving a quick summary on how I feel about each one and whether or not the Chiefs should bring them back. But I did want to do an individual video for the top free agents, the big names. And Nick Bolton, the linebacker, is certainly a big name that the Kansas City Chiefs will have to make a tough decision on this offseason. So let's talk about, whether or not he should stay or if the Kansas City Chiefs should let him go. And I think, the first thing I have to say when it comes to Nick Bolton and his impending free agency is if it's for the right price, I would like to keep him around. I would love to keep him around. And as most of you guys know, I'm a Missouri fan, so I followed Nick Bolton all throughout his college career. I love the guy. It's been a pleasure having him on the Chiefs, and he's been a big part of the defense over the last few seasons. He's been a very important player on the defense. He obviously wears the green dot and is able to kind of make changes on the fly and tell guys where to be. He's very important in getting guys lined up and play recognition. So you heard Steve Spagnuolo and some of the coaches talk about him at the Super Bowl during media week. Michael Darcy talked about this on my channel, how he saw Nick Bolton as a guy that probably would walk this offseason like, hey, thanks for your service. It's been nice having you, but we're moving on. But then after hearing the coaches talk about him, like Brendan Daly, the linebackers coach, pretty much said, I don't want to imagine a life without Nick Bolton. We know how much these coaches value Nick Bolton. And what he does is so much more than will ever show up on the stat sheet at the end of the game. Does Nick Bolton have deficiencies in coverage? Absolutely. Does he have shortcomings? Yes. But he's a very smart player. He has a knack for making plays in the backfield. He makes really smart plays. Again, knows where to be. And there is value in having a guy like that, but at the right price. And I think that's kind of where the conversation begins and ends with Nick Bolton. If you can get him back for the right price, then yes, would love to have him back and to keep that familiarity on defense for another year and not have to find a new green dot. I think that's something that the Kansas City Chiefs would like to have. Now, right now on SpotTrack.com, Nick Bolton's projected market value is $12.3 million per year annually. They project Nick Bolton getting a 4-year, $49 million contract. Now, honestly, guys, I would not be upset if this was the contract that Nick Bolton got from the Kansas City Chiefs. I think, in fact, that's probably about the max that I would pay him before I think about letting him go. I think that's very appropriate for him. It's very similar to the Patrick Queen contract, except he would get 4 years instead of 3. But on an AAV basis, it's very similar to the contract Patrick Queen got from the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was like 3 years, $41 million. That pays him right around $13 million per year. Nick Bolton would be getting very close to that. I think that's fair. Now, if Nick Bolton's wanting to be paid like one of the highest one of the best linebackers in the league, like a Fred Warner, who I think is making about $17 million per year, that's where I probably back off because I don't think Nick Bolton is quite that good. But unfortunately, because the Kansas City Chiefs value him so much, and they've pretty much told you how much they value him, and the coaches say they don't want to live without him, well, Nick Bolton can use that as leverage in negotiations. Hey, you guys say I'm this important. Well, pay me like I'm that important. So he's going to try to get the most money possible. And he was also one of the only players in the Super Bowl that actually played a good game. And I think he's going to point to that as well. Nick Bolton has been a Super Bowl riser several times now for the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, he has a shortcoming. Sometimes he'll have really bad games during the regular season, but usually around playoff time, Nick Bolton's locked in. He's a mainstay on the Chiefs defense. He's a tackling machine. We know that. The Chiefs' run defense was the best it has been in years. And I think Nick Bolton was obviously a big part of that. And even last year, when Nick Bolton got injured and Drew Tranquill filled in for him at middle linebacker, you saw the run defense suffer a little bit. Yeah, you'd like to have Drew Tranquill out there in coverage instead of Nick Bolton, but stopping the run, Nick Bolton is important. And he also made several big tackles on Saquon Barkley in that game. And man, if the Chiefs offense hadn't faltered the way they did in that game, we may be talking about Nick Bolton being, well, he was one of the best players in the game anyway, but we may be talking about his performance a lot more and his hand in helping to stop Saquon Barkley in that game. But that's besides the point. Nick Bolton, I'd love to have him back. I really would. I've said that multiple times now. Again, I'm a Missouri guy, so I'm slightly biased. I like Nick Bolton. And I think, man, he's just important to what this team does. He is. He's kind of the director of the defense. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu was that way when he was here. And once he left, you needed someone else to step up in that spot, and that was Nick Bolton. He's kind of the commander out there on the field for the Chiefs defense. But if he becomes too expensive, I wouldn't really shed a tear. That's the thing. Like, again, at the right price, I would like to have Nick Bolton back, but I'm not shedding a tear if he leaves in free agency because I believe there's going to be a lot of good linebackers out there in free agency that you can get on the cheap. And one guy that comes to mind off the top of my head is Willie Gay, the former Chief. Signed a one-year deal with the New Orleans Saints this past season. Didn't play that much, but he's a guy that's familiar with the Chiefs' defensive system. He wouldn't be expensive at all to bring back. He would probably only require like a 1-year, $5 million deal max. I don't think he increased his value at all this past year in New Orleans, but he can make plays for you. He's super athletic still. Like, that hasn't changed. And he would immediately give the Kansas City Chiefs probably the most athletic linebacker room in the entire NFL. And I said this, earlier on a few videos ago, but I would love to see Willie Gay come back and play him at middle linebacker in place of Nick Bolton. Now, it would be a little bit of an adjustment for Willie Gay, and he played a lot of outside linebacker when he was here in Kansas City, but I think Willie Gay would make a pretty damn good middle linebacker in the Chiefs defense. And again, the familiarity, a guy that you can, again, use as a quarterback spy when you're going up against some of these really good mobile quarterbacks that, are here in the AFC. I think having a guy like Willie Gay is important. He also makes you younger again. He's still relatively young. But that's just a name off the top of my head. I think there's going to be a lot of good value linebackers out there you can get for cheap. Willie Gay is certainly one of them. And I mean, the thing is, guys, we know how many other needs are on this Chiefs team. They need a left tackle. They may add more offensive line depth beyond that. They'll probably add another wide receiver. They got to bring back some of their own free agents. If you're a Pay Trey Smith guy or a Pay Trey Smith person, on team Pay Trey Smith, then you might not be able to pay Nick Bolton. So the question I ask you guys is, what would you rather have? Bring back Nick Bolton at $12 million per year, or bring back Willie Gay at 1 year, $5 million, and then use that money to spend everywhere else? Because while Nick Bolton is a really good player, I love what he's brought to this team. He's put in some good years here. I don't think the drop off between Nick Bolton and Willie Gay is that large. If they're going to play Willie Gay at middle linebacker, which is my kind of idea for him, my vision for him if he were to return to Kansas City. I just think there's going to be guys out there, man, that you can get on a good value deal. So again, if Nick Bolton, you can get him on a fair contract. If that $12 million per year is what it takes to retain Nick Bolton, hey, I'm cool with that. I'd be happy with that contract. That's not considered an overpay in my mind. But if we're talking about anything beyond that, that's probably where I start to look at other options. So those are my thoughts on linebacker Nick Bolton and whether or not the Chiefs should keep him or let him go in free agency here in a few weeks. But I want to hear from you guys. What would you like to see the Kansas City Chiefs do with Nick Bolton? Would you pay to keep him, or would you rather maybe see the Chiefs spend a little bit less and get a guy like Willie Gay back and maybe draft a linebacker? I'll be curious to hear from you guys as always, but I'm going to go ahead and end it there. So with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com for more. Last but not least, follow me on Twitter at showmefb. That's all I got for this one, guys. I will see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs!